Rest assured, Darksiders fans, Darksiders 3 is, at its core, a post-apocalyptic hack-and-slash, puzzle-filled adventure set in a world full of angels, demons, and the Four Horsemen. I was able to play 2 hours from a recent build, and here are some of the biggest things I learned. With the new Darksiders comes a new protagonist, and Gunfire assured me that Fury has the strongest arc of any of the characters yet. There were cutscenes I wasn't allowed to see, and a lot of questions the team wouldn't answer to avoid spoilers, but they did say Darksiders 3 will move the needle in terms of storytelling, and fans of the series should expect interesting twists and revelations, including insight into the end of Darksiders 2. Beyond story components, Fury's instructed to take on physical representations of the 7 deadly sins, though I've only seen 2 of those, Sloth and Wrath. The world is supposed to get harder as you slowly take down more sins, and each individual enemy is supposed to be a little tougher than they were in previous games, but there are less of them overall. That shift requires a little more precision than the first 2 games did, and that precision comes with a very satisfying counter system, one that I slowly got better and better at as I played. By the end of the demo, I was succeeding far more often than when I started out, and it made each new enemy almost a little exciting, because I had the challenge of figuring out their timing and how it was different to the others. Of course, there's a level system too, where the souls you collect act as a currency for upgrades to your health and attacks, and that's relatively simple. There's a crafting system as well, but I think the most significant thing in terms of upgrades is the introduction of Fury's set of elemental abilities, which come from things called hollows. I got the Fire Hollow in my time playing, and it gave Fury the ability to walk through fire or lava, use a new weapon, and use an extended jump. I think there'll be 4 or 5 different abilities just like this one, and the coolest thing about them is the way they evolve traversal. Fury could burn things she couldn't burn before, things that were too high to jump to could now be jumped to, and walking through lava meant there were shortcuts and secrets hidden throughout environments that might have just tugged at your curiosity the first time you'd seen them, because you couldn't reach them. In fact, the approach to the world is both my favorite thing about Darksiders 3 so far, and probably the biggest upgrade from previous games in the series. It sort of melts in on itself, with the 6 distinct dungeons being filled with linking passageways and slowly shifting from one environment to another. They're ultimately all supposed to feel less like compartmentalized zones and more like cohesive, lived-in, connected parts of the same world. To add to that, if there's a puzzle present in Darksiders 3, it fits fairly naturally into the environment, at least compared to previous games in the series. There aren't any out-of-place puzzles, there aren't any rooms with doors that'll only unlock when you've killed every enemy inside of it. Basically, everything that exists in the world is set to feel like it would be there even if you weren't, departing from the feeling that enemies mostly just kind of stood around waiting for you to show up. Now, while I've said a whole bunch of things that I know I'll like about Darksiders 3 here, it is also worth mentioning that I somewhat frequently encountered framerate drops and some issues with getting through that world. A particular jump I should have been able to make became hard because I was hitting some kind of invisible wall that shouldn't have been there, one enemy kept knocking me off a platform, and some checkpoints felt a little far apart. I'm not super concerned about any of those things just because Darksiders 3 is still actively being refined and worked on, but they're worth mentioning at this stage all the same. All in all, it seems like the studio has done a really good job of keeping the core pillars of the franchise intact, but they've managed to modernize it in a lot of really smart ways too. I'm excited to fully play it when it finally comes out this November. For more on Darksiders, stay tuned for more exclusive coverage all July long on IGN.